Right. I mean, and it's so true. I mean, there's a lot of haters out there. They get jealous and everything else, and it is what it is. I take a lot of flack. Oh, you got all these classes. Like, man, you don't realize. And I've told people, I don't use none of that stuff. I watch them, we edit them, and that's it. I never see them. I don't ever use this stuff. My whole deal. People's like, well, when are you going to do a class on barbecue champs? Now that you did your cooking class. I said, I'm not. I never will. Barbecue champs was never about me. It was about taking these guys that have won world champions and this and that, and getting their classes out there. I didn't want barbecue champs to ever be about me, and I never would use it. That was one of the reasons why I did the class. I got so sick of hearing the crap. Like, you just got everybody's wristband. I said, I tell you what, wait till you come to one of my classes. You're going to see I don't do nothing. And there's a lot of people that already done said it, like, man, you're teaching shit that we've never even heard of before. And I was like, try to tell you, I don't use nothing. I mean, I try to run my own lane, but that's just, my background came from drag racing where, I built my own engines, I ported my own cylinder heads, I made my own nitro systems. I did all of it, I was one of the kind of guys that was pioneering stuff that these guys had never even heard of or seen, bringing out a nitrous nozzle that had never even been invented after 26 years of being on the market. And man, we revolutionized the nitrous industry. First race I go to, I set a world record. Man, I kept my mouth shut. I mean, they all knew I built it. They was all wanting to buy them. I was like, they ain't for sale. I mean,
Right.
we was in the game of building horsepower, and who had the most horsepower and could get it to the ground? Won. And that was why we was the fastest nitrous car in the country for years. And I did my own stuff. They're buying horsepower, right? They're buying it. They're Pat Musey engines, this, that. They're coming after me and like, you just ain't making enough horsepower yet, And it was because I did everything in house, so it gives you that advantage. And 4 years later, I licensed it to Edelbrock, and yeah, paid me a lot of money, $100,000, and you can have this nitrous nozzle and sell it. So, and 5% royalties. That's what it cost them, and they gladly paid it because I told them, I said, there's nothing out there on the market that's like this. I revolutionized it. And,
Mike, I'll say it though. At what point do you consider yourself a barbecue champ and you just put your shit out there?
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
To me, I always said I'm not. I haven't won a world champion, and most everybody that we have on there has. Sometimes when we film some of them, they weren't yet. But I don't want barbecue champs. It's not about me. It never was about me. It was a platform that we could help people. Like, Steven has been a huge ambassador for us, and James and so many others have given us mentions and shout outs and stuff over and over and over. And so I would never do that because I would never want to take away a sale from those guys. Never. So
I'll tell you, 3 years ago when I started this grind, and after my first Royal, after like my fourth or fifth comp, whatever, my first Barbecue Champs Academy was Butcher Barbecues class.
Yeah.
And because I was cooking on pellet grills, and I'm like, oh, if Butcher can do it on a pellet grill, I can do it. And
yeah,
it ain't that damn easy.
Yeah.
Just because you have the type of cooker somebody has doesn't mean you can do it.
That's right.
So
yeah. So it's a lot of fun. I mean, it really is. And I don't worry about it. And my wife told me, I knew this when I started, Barbecue Champ. She said, you realize everybody's going to think you can't cook. I was like, yeah, I know. I said, baby, I said, the whole thing is, I said, I've already had a lot of grand champions before I ever did Barbecue Champs. So, and I said,
you ain't got to be the smartest guy in the bunch. You just got to be,
let them think what they want. And if they want to think that, they can think that. I really don't care. I run my own lane and I laugh. So,
well, I always look at it as like, I didn't take a class forever, and I wore that as a badge of honor.
Right.
And then Eric and I left a cook-off, and I'm like, and I knew like 4 of the people that beat me all took classes.
Yeah.
And so literally on the way home, I said, hey, look up this class and buy it.
Yeah.
And literally I bought that class on the way home because I was like, I'm tired of
Erica.
There's Erica. I'm tired of I'm just tired of getting whooped. Like we had a good run from 18 to 22, but it's like I'm at the point now where it was like, man, and somebody told me, and I can't remember who it was, they were like, you have to look at it as continuing education. Like you do it for work, you do it for everything else, you take sales classes, you take management classes and all this. Why not take a class? And it opened my eyes the way what people did with barbecue sauces and the finishing flavors, and not necessarily what you put on it when you cook it, but what you put on it right before you put it in the box and how you put it in the box. And, Bobby Oliver's always like pretty food tastes better. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that those classes, like Shane and Steven, when I first started, I remember the first cook-off I went to, there were 12 teams and I got 12th, 12th, and 12th.
Yeah.
And then I asked somebody from advice and they were like, just take a tablespoon of kerosene and put it in your firebox. It was like nobody helped you whatsoever.
Hey, yeah.
Hey, this is not scripted. There was 12 teams, and I can't tell you if it was pork or ribs, but it's in Sulphur, Oklahoma. They got leveled by a tornado. It's one of my favorite trophies. Like 12 teams, and it still sits here in the pub.
Yeah.
And it takes that, of spending all that money, because back then when I cooked, you could go buy a brisket for 69 cents. It was cheap.
Yeah.
Entry fees were $75 or $100. It wasn't, and you were going out there having a good time with your buddies, but it costs so much money for us to do this. It's $600, $700 a weekend. And a class is, to me, take 1 weekend of cooking off, buy a class and study that class, and you get your money back very quick.
Yeah, it usually will help. And that's the whole thing.
Mike,
you got it. Go ahead, Shane.
I would say, here's how stupid I am. So last year I ran a bunch of KCBS comps. So this off-season, December, January, I take a Blues Hog class with Brad and Tim, and then I go take Brad Cox, local Yokos class up in Illinois for KCBS stuff. Well, I come back in January, February, and run nothing but CBA and Outlaw.
Yeah.
But but the thing is if anything, that tells me a lot of their flavors do carry over down here.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a different process versus Texas versus up there. And like I was talking to Tim Shear yesterday, I was like, I'm coming up to Pine Bluff this weekend. I was probably going to get my teeth kicked in, no matter how good I've been cooking in Texas. He goes, man, you never know. Yeah. So we'll see.
Yep.
We'll see.
Look at Philip Breeden. Philip Breeden cooks everywhere across the world.
Yeah.
And he's hitting.
Yeah.
James, he had me biting my nails on Saturday because I took first chicken, fourth ribs. Phil took fourth chicken, second ribs. Okay. So going into brisket, it was only a 3 meat. And I'm like, oh God, it's me or Phil. And I know Phil's a way damn better brisket cook than, my damn Yankee ass who've been struggling. And man, so we get all the brisket calls were a bunch of backyard teams that a lot of us weren't familiar with. So I'm like, okay, I got a chance. Well, they go to top 10 overall. They call 10th, 9th, 8th place overall, LC barbecue. I'm like, oh God, I'm screwed. I'm like, because I don't consider myself a better brisket cook than Phil. Phil, you guys know Phil. And so we get the 8th, 7th, 6th, and then Tim Kuykendall standing up clapping for me. I'm like, dude, sit your ass down. I'm like 13th or whatever. And they get the second, and all of a sudden, hey, sing it, Frank. And I'm like, holy cow. Wow. I did not expect it. So everybody's been texting me congratulations. And when I say I got lucky, man. I'm like, yeah, okay, the grind is real. I've been cooking. I've been grinding. I've been, getting after it. But I ain't sitting here trying to say I'm a better brisket cook than Phil Breeden by any means. So,
the whole lucky thing, I know you said that a few times, man, but I always tell Erica that we just get lucky occasionally. But the thing is you have to turn in food to get lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to, if you don't turn in good food, I don't care. You're not going to get that lucky. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
that's right.
The food you turned in, I guarantee you was great food.
It's good food.
My grandpa always told me I'd rather be lucky than good.
Mm-hmm. That's a great statement there, James.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
I always tell people good food travels no matter where you go. Yeah, that's one thing I taught in my class.